What if I told you most Americans aren't actually healthy? Even the ones who look fine, not sick, not obese, not diagnosed, but quietly heading toward heart disease, diabetes, or worse, and they don't even know it. Doctors call it metabolic dysfunction. Influencers hype it. Politicians talk about it. But almost nobody explains what it really means, or why 90% of American adults are already caught in it. And here's the wild part. By the time you feel something is wrong, the damage may already be locked in. Let's break this down, simply, honestly, and without the wellness hype. Metabolic health is everywhere right now. You hear it from wellness influencers. You see it in best-selling books. Even Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. made it a core part of his Make America Healthy Again agenda. Sounds important, right? But here's the problem. Nobody really agrees on what metabolic health actually is. In simple terms, metabolic health means your body can properly use and store energy. When that system starts breaking down, doctors call it metabolic syndrome. You're considered metabolically unhealthy if you have 3 or more of these red flags. Large waist size high, triglycerides low, good. Cholesterol high, blood pressure high, blood sugar. Individually, they don't always feel scary. Together, they dramatically raise your risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. And here's the scary stat. The American Heart Association estimates that 90% of American adults already have some degree of what they now call cardiovascular kidney metabolic syndrome. Translation? Most people aren't heading toward a problem. They're already in it. Where things start to go wrong. A huge driver of metabolic dysfunction is excess body fat, especially around the belly. Doctors call it adiposity. You know it as stubborn abdominal fat. About 3 out of 4 American adults are overweight or obese. But this isn't just about looks. Fat cells store energy as triglycerides. When you consistently eat more calories than your body can handle, those fat cells overflow. And when that happens, fat starts going places it shouldn't, like the liver and muscles. That's when inflammation kicks in. Insulin stops working properly. Blood sugar rises. And now you're stuck in a nasty feedback loop. More fat leads to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance leads to more fat. As one researcher put it, it's a circular loop. Not all bodies store fat the same. Here's something most people don't realize. Obesity isn't just about diet and exercise. Genetics play a huge role. So does body shape. If you're apple-shaped, storing fat around the abdomen, you're far more likely to develop metabolic problems than someone who's pear-shaped, storing fat in the hips and thighs. Why? Because visceral fat, the fat around your organs, behaves differently than fat under the skin. It releases more inflammatory signals. It interferes more with insulin. It causes more damage. That's why someone can look not that overweight and still be at serious risk. The check engine light most people ignore. Doctors compare excess fat to a check engine light. It doesn't mean the engine is dead, yet it means something else might be wrong under the hood. High cholesterol, rising blood sugar, blood pressure slowly creeping up. And that slow creep is dangerous because metabolic dysfunction doesn't usually hit all at once. It stacks quietly. One person starts with high blood pressure, another with cholesterol, another with insulin resistance. But over time, these problems pile up, and when they do, that's when the real damage starts. What metabolic dysfunction does over time? High blood pressure stiffens arteries and builds plaque. That leads to heart attacks and strokes. Diabetes damages blood vessels and kidneys. It also accelerates nerve damage. Fat buildup in the liver can cause metabolic-associated fatty liver disease, which can lead to permanent scarring. And here's the part that hits hard. At least 13 types of cancer, including breast, colon, liver, and pancreatic cancer, are more common in people who are overweight or obese. High insulin levels don't just manage sugar. They can fuel tumor growth. This isn't about fear-mongering. This is about understanding what's at stake. Prevention is the real treatment. doctors agree on one thing. The best treatment is prevention. That starts with reaching a healthier weight, but not through extreme diets or punishment. Lifestyle changes still matter. Quit smoking. This one's huge. Move your body more, eat a heart-healthy diet, sleep properly. Smoking alone increases visceral fat, damages arteries, and worsens insulin resistance. And here's some real-life advice doctors give. Cook at home more. Walk after meals. Take the stairs. Park farther away. It doesn't sound dramatic, but it works. Exercise doesn't just burn calories. It improves insulin sensitivity. The recommendation? 150 minutes of moderate activity per week. Yet only 1 in 4 Americans actually hits that. For some people, lifestyle changes aren't enough. That's where newer medications like GLP-1 drugs can help, by reducing weight and lowering long-term disease risk. But timing matters. The earlier you act, the easier it is to reverse course. Metabolic dysfunction doesn't show up screaming. It whispers. It hides behind normal lab results. Behind, I feel okay. Behind, I'll deal with it later. But later is exactly when it becomes harder to fix. This isn't about chasing trends or wellness buzzwords. It's about paying attention early, because metabolic health isn't something you lose overnight. You drift away from it, quietly, until one day, your body sends a bill you didn't expect.